As a speedrunner, I get asked a lot if it's possible to save the companion cube in Portal. Which, of course you can. It's actually not too hard. But a much more interesting question is how many cubes can you get at once in Portal? Now normally, there are emancipation grids, or fizzlers, that destroy objects when you leave chambers, so cubes would have no way of leaving their original puzzles. However, as I've just displayed, there are many glitches that can get around this feature. Now if you total up all the cubes in the game, there is one cube in Chamber 0, another in Chamber 1, one in Chamber 4, two in Chamber 5, and one in Escape 01, which gives us a total of 23 cubes. So naturally, speedrunners have created a speedrun category where they get 24 cubes, which is somehow the most amount of cubes you can get in the game. Which obviously brings up a big question. If there are only 23 cubes in the game, how can you get 24 cubes? Well, I decided to get to the bottom of this myself and learn the 24 cube speedrun category. The premise of the speedrun is simple. Collect 24 cubes throughout the game's puzzles, and bring them with you to the cake room at the end of the game. Oh, and also for good measure, defeat GLaDOS and beat the game. Now the biggest challenge here is not getting the cubes, but bringing them with you, as of course you can only hold one cube at a time, and more specifically, this is your biggest enemy. This loading pop-up takes half of a second, and it ruins everything. The puzzles in the game are separated by different map files, and when you hit a loading screen, you transition from one map to the next. This makes all of the entities on the last map, including cubes, disappear. The only way to save cubes from getting consumed in the void of the loading screen is by keeping them inside of a transition trigger, which in almost every level in Portal is the elevator shaft. This means that you have to stuff your collection of cubes around the elevator, which you'll get to see more of later. I think that's enough initial explanation. Let's take a look at the run. To start off the speedrun, we do the vault skip glitch to skip out of the vault. There are two cubes on this map, the one in Chamber 0 and the one in Chamber 1, and since we don't have the portal gun yet, we don't have access to a lot of the cube saving glitches, so we unfortunately have to abandon these cubes at the start of the game. Instead, we do some really complicated speedrun skips, but it doesn't even get you any cubes, so I don't really feel like explaining it. Just pretend this is casual gameplay. Oh, also as a result of the skip in Chamber 1, our portal gun is invisible for the rest of the run. It still works just fine though. Once we get to Chamber 4, we finally start liberating the cubes from their puzzles. We can get this cube from the dropper in the initial chamber, and after putting it in front of the orange portal, we start to go out of bounds. One of the two main glitches we will use to get out of bounds throughout the run is the save glitch. All we have to do is quick save and quick load while stuck in the edge of a portal, and then a lot of walls and floors that are not near portals become non-solid, allowing us easy out of bounds access. When you're out of bounds, almost everything is portalable, so it's super easy to navigate through the levels. To get back inbounds, there are two glitches we can use. The first is called the PQR, which is short for Portal Quick Re-Entry. If you have an out of bounds portal on a floor or ceiling, by shooting a portal while going through a portal, we get placed back inbounds. The other is save load clipping, where by spamming quick save and quick load while standing on top of inbound space, you will clip downward back into the level. In Chamber 4, we save glitch and then PQR to get into Chamber 5, and recover the two cubes from there, bringing them back to Chamber 4. Then, we save glitch into the end of Chamber 5 to activate dialogue, and here's where it gets interesting. There's this big rectangle that's above every cube dropper, and inside of this area is a completely untextured room with a cube in it. I have no idea why it's here, but it makes the cube droppers work. If you're able to get into this room, which you can do pretty easily by using the vertical wall warp glitch and then save load clipping, you can grab the cube and portal out. This is how we get more than the 23 cubes total in the game. Now, we bring all of our collected cubes to the top of the elevator in Chamber 5 to preserve them into the next level, and then ride the elevator normally to load the next map. Chambers 6 and 7 just have orbs, no cubes, so we do some normal portal gameplay and do two seam shots, one under the Chamber 7 elevator to put the cubes down there, and another at the end of Chamber 7 to ride the elevator up. Chamber 8 continues the cube drought, But we do a pretty cool save glitch here to fall through the floor and get the cubes underneath the elevator. And after we save glitch out of bounds and bring them to the top of the next elevator, we proceed to chamber 9, where we get to pick up another cube. Despite being in a cube dropper, we can actually only get the one cube here because this one just doesn't have a cube for some reason. So we carry our new cube friend and our 4 travelers onto the platform with the orange portal, and again use the save glitch to get to the top of the elevator, where we place our cubes and then beat the chamber. Chamber 10 has us use the other major out of bounds exploit, but before we get there, we have to bring all the cubes to the area with the orange floor portal later in the chamber. Now, we get to use the quantum crouch glitch. To execute the glitch, we need to jump, crouch in air, and then quickly uncrouch, and crouch again while in the uncrouch animation. It's a lot of hitting the crouch button, but when done properly, the player is in a bugged state, where their camera, where you shoot portals from, is in a standing position, and their player model, which handles collision, is in a crouched position. This means that by going through a wall portal near a ceiling, you can peer over the wall and into out-of-bounds space, since your camera extends over your normal collision. We can use the quantum crouch to land a portal out of bounds at the top of the elevator in chamber 10, and then we use another glitch called the vertical wall warp to get on top. I mentioned it earlier, but it's pretty simple. By crouching in a wall portal, jumping, and saving and loading, you get warped to the top of an out-of-bounds wall. This, combined with save load clipping, helps us get back inbounds on the top of the elevator, where we will place all 5 of our cubes. Then, after flinging to the end of the level, we get into chambers 11 and 12, where we finally get the dual portal gun, which makes things a whole lot more interesting. We immediately save glitch up into the cube dropper in chamber 12, and after throwing it through our portal, we save glitch again to get into chamber 12 and collect the second cube from the cube dropper. We awkwardly throw it into the portal below us, and then save glitch to jump through the wall and land a portal underneath the elevator. Now, we have to fit our 7 cubes underneath this elevator, and for the next handful of chambers, we're going to be keeping a lot of our cubes underneath the elevator, and we'll be transitioning between levels here as well. This is mainly to use a glitch called the load glitch. It's basically just another way to get the save glitch, just instead of quick saving and loading, we use the map loading screen to initiate the save glitch. We can use the load glitch to get into chamber 13 while keeping a portal underneath the initial elevator. The first cube in this chamber is quite easy to get, but for the second one, we have to save glitch and AVH through this wall onto the platform with the cube. After stylishly throwing the cube in with the rest of our collection, we're able to pretty easily get a portal underneath the end elevator since we still have the save glitch, and then we can transfer our cubes from the beginning elevator to the ending elevator. Chamber 14 has one more cube that we can get to pretty easily with the load glitch and vertical wall warp. Similar to chamber 13, we'll put it back underneath the elevator and then use the save glitch to get out of bounds again and link a portal between the start and ending elevators. Now that we have 10 cubes, squeezing all of them underneath the elevator is quite challenging, and it really only gets worse from here. Well, except for chamber 15, which has no cubes, so we just load glitch and move all the cubes to the next elevator. But chamber 16 is where things get awful, because there are a total of 10 cubes in this chamber, 8 in the room with the broken cube dropper, and 2 behind this panel blocking the Ratman den. From here on out, we're gonna have too many cubes to just fit under the elevator, so we have to split our cubes between the top and bottom of the elevator. We'll vertical wall warp up to the ending elevator and drop off 8 of our cubes here. Then to get out of bounds here without the load glitch, we have to do the quantum crouch, but aim the portal behind us, which is quite tricky. Then, we'll collect all 12 of our remaining cubes in one room, and prepare to squeeze them all underneath the elevator. This is much harder than it seems. It feels like you're solving one of those slide puzzles, because everything has to fit just right. At the end, I activate the elevator early, so I can place the last 2 cubes on top of all the other ones, which makes it a touch easier. Then in chamber 17, we'll load glitch out of bounds to find our way at the top of the ending elevator, where we'll place all 12 of these cubes. And I've never really mentioned it thus far, but placing these cubes near the top of the elevator is annoyingly precise. If they're too far from the elevator, they won't be in the transition trigger, and they'll just disappear. And if they're too close to the elevator, the elevator will hit the cubes. Sometimes this causes the cubes in contact to get pushed far away and despawn, and other times, the cubes can completely get stuck in the elevator. Either way, it results in an instant reset for the speedrun since we lose a cube. So it sounds kind of contradictory to have patience in a speedrun, but I usually take some time to double check these cubes are placed well so I don't have to reset my run. Once we get back inbounds, the rest of this chamber is a huge pain, because we have to transfer these 8 cubes and the companion cube from the start of the chamber all the way down to the nearest portal surface to get them underneath the ending elevator. Which brings up a huge question. Which is faster, transporting the cubes one by one, or trying to move them all together in small increments? The answer? Well, I don't really care. Both suck. I end up mostly keeping them as a pack and take around a minute and a half to get them down the hallway. And Chamber 18 is honestly the same as Chamber 17. We're gonna load glitch out of bounds, get the current cubes with us to the top of the ending elevator, quantum crouch back out of bounds, recover another cube, and then get that cube and the other cubes at the start of the level to underneath the ending elevator. This time, we fit a whopping 13 cubes underneath the elevator, which is honestly barely possible, and is evidently very frustrating. Thankfully, this is the last chamber where we'll have to deal with this, as the remaining levels are part of the escape sequence, and don't end with elevators. Once into Chamber 19, we'll do the same load glitch, and get a portal into the start of the chamber, where we'll put all of our cubes. Now with all of our 22 cubes together, we'll quantum crouch to get a portal out of bounds, and get to the end of the map, where we'll get inbounds to put a portal at the top of this little pit. This is where all of our cubes are going to go. It's quite satisfying just to spam portals under the cubes and watch them all fall in. Once they all squeeze in there, we quantum crouch again and load the next map while out of bounds. And into Escape 0, we immediately get a portal right near the end of the level in out of bounds space. The big problem here is that there are no portalable surfaces inbounds near the end of the level, so we just have to transport each cube one by one to the start of the next level, but we do so out of bounds. We can force cubes inbounds by using a trick called Object Teleport, which basically just means we can push them back inbounds and they'll clip through. We do this for all 22 of our cubes. This is really annoying because cubes don't render in out of bounds space, so it's surprisingly easy to just drop a cube and spend time struggling to find it. So again, because a lost cube results in a reset speedrun, we'll tackle this part of the speedrun with a little bit of patience. Once all cubes are stuffed inbounds, we'll again load the next level from out of bounds space. In Escape 01, we have one of the biggest predicaments in the run, which is this weird piston drop room. Once the player exits the hallway, these pistons open up and trap the player in this room with some turrets. The problem is that the pistons close up after we drop down, so even if we move the cubes above the pistons, a fair amount of them will get stuck up there with no portable surfaces to recover them. To fix this, we activate the piston trap out of bounds, and then while the pistons open, we get a portal at the end of the level. Once we get back inbounds, we can throw all of the cubes into the trap pit one at a time. The only thing is that activating the piston trap actually creates an invisible wall stopping us from dropping down. So once we throw all the cubes down, we actually have to use a piston behind us here to push us through the floor into a compartment with a turret. Then we can portal all of the cubes to the end of the level while trying to fend off the turrets. And now there's actually a cube we have to fetch in the level, but it's stuck in a pipe, so we have to go activate the rocket turret in order to get it. So we'll do some out of bounds maneuvering and break some glass by going full WWE mode with this office chair, and free the cube from the pipe and bring it with us to the end of the level. Now we're finally able to load the last map of the game, and quantum crouch to get a portal into the cake room, where our final cube lies. And yes, the companion cube in the cake room is a different companion cube than the one in Chamber 17. You've all been lied to. We'll peek a portal onto the ceiling and drop our other 23 cubes into the cake room. Now with the major condition of the speedrun being met, we'll use the acute angle glitch to teleport into GLaDOS' chamber with a turret and quickly beat the game. Now this is where the most nerve-wracking part of the run comes in, which you may be thinking that the speedrun is already over, what else is there even to do? Well, now we have to go into post and ensure that all 24 cubes are in the cake room, because for the last couple of chambers, I've been recklessly moving a ton of cubes, so it's totally possible that a cube could have disappeared. Thankfully for this run, all cubes are present, making this a new 24 cubes speedrun world record. Told you I'm one of the best Portal speedrunners. Unfortunately though, I've been lying this whole time. This isn't the Portal speedrun that gets every cube, and it's been right under your nose the whole time. There aren't 24 cubes in the thumbnail, there are... There's one glitch that's so broken that using it lets you get 8 more cubes. Of course, I'm talking about the item save glitch. Despite the name, it has nothing to do with the normal save glitch, but rather it imposes a save glitch-like state on the game's props. By placing a physics object to sort of edge glitch near a portal, and then moving another object into it in a weird precise way, eventually the game will enter an item save glitch state. In this state, item collision just becomes a suggestion, as objects float, skid, and pass through walls as they please. And this glitch is so powerful that this state persists until the game closes. Loading a quick save or even starting another playthrough from the main menu does not cancel this glitch. Speedruns that use the item save glitch usually involve restarting the game throughout the run, as normal prop mechanics are impossible with the glitch active. For the sake of collecting cubes, the fact that we can push cubes through walls and out of bounds using the item save glitch is huge, as now we can save the cubes in the first 2 chambers by pushing them out of bounds around the ending fizzler. Then, we can get even more cubes by exploiting the cube droppers, because the cube droppers prep a second cube after dispensing the first. We can use the item save glitch to recover that second cube out of the cube dropper. This is how we get 8 extra cubes. This speedrun does not start off with the vault skip glitch, but instead, we precisely place a radio against the portal in the vault, so that we can set up the item save glitch. We make a hard save here that we'll come back to later in the run anytime we need to activate ISG, and then actually get the glitch by moving the clipboard through the radio. You know the glitch is active when objects start going into the floor. Now with the item save glitch active, you can try and get the second cube from the cube dropper, but it's quite difficult. The bottom hatch of the dropper is too thick for a cube to pass through, so it has to go through the sides. Since physics are not deterministic, this means you basically have to quick save and quick load until the cube eventually decides to go through the sides. Once it's in the actual chamber, it will still fly through walls and floors since you have the item save glitch active, so you have to make a save right after the cube leaves the dropper and then restart the game so it properly collides with the wall. Then we can finally pick up our second cube. From there, you can use the button save glitch to keep the door open. It's as simple as grabbing the cube off of the button and then saving and loading at the right time. Now you have 2 choices for bringing multiple cubes around the fizzler. You can either cancel item save glitch after bringing each cube around the fizzler to place the cube in the elevator, or you can try to place the cube with item save glitch active. I, of course, go for the funnier option of keeping item save glitch enabled. After letting go of the cube, it'll float around for about 2 seconds, until it just completely stops in whatever state it is in. You'd hope that your cubes are pretty chill and just stay in the corner, but usually they'll fly around, knock into each other like bumper cars, and fizzle themselves. You have to do this in both Chamber 0 and in Chamber 1. Luckily in my run, the cubes were pretty cooperative and didn't give me too much trouble, but trust me, these guys have a mind of their own. And honestly, once you're out of the first map, the rest of the run is pretty similar to 24 cubes, except we get an extra cube every time there's a cube dropper, and now we have even more cubes to move and keep track of. In Chamber 4, we get our extra cube with style, as after we collect the cubes in Chamber 5, we save glitch through a wall to jump into the cube dropper in Chamber 4. Then we grab the cube and activate item save glitch to pull it through the wall and into the chamber, and after a game restart, we're all set to bring all 8 of our cubes to the ending elevator. And keeping track of your cubes is just so hard in this run. As you see here in Chamber 6, I thought I lost a cube already, just to see it absolutely chilling at the start of the chamber. I have no idea how the cube even balances like this. Chamber 8 has a cool strat with a super precise setup. It saves no time. Actually, it loses time. But it looks cool. Chamber 9 has another cube dropper, so after getting item save glitch, I watch the second cube bob in the dropper for about 20 seconds until it eventually feels like leaving. Then after moving cubes for 3 minutes, we get to another cube dropper in Chamber 12 and watch it move around for 30 seconds until it finally breaks free. Then, we're going to be putting all of the cubes at the top of the elevator. And here, we get to see some insane tech that's only used in 32 cubes. Putting a cube on the steps of the elevator. Pretty crazy, I know. And after we get 2 more cubes in Chamber 13, we add 2 more cubes on the steps of the elevator. This is actually pretty hard to balance and mildly risky because if the top cube falls, it will most definitely disappear. After getting 1 more cube in Chamber 14, we max out the top of the elevator with a total of 16 cubes. And starting at Chamber 15, we start utilizing the bottom of the elevator again, because we need to prepare for Chamber 16, where we'll take these 2 cubes and the 10 we get in the chamber to the top of the elevator, and then we have to fit the remaining 14 cubes underneath the elevator. And this is very precise. We gotta get into the elevator ourselves and make sure all of the cubes are placed perfectly, because if one is rotated even a little bit, then all of the cubes will not fit under there. It's a very time-consuming process. We then drop off our 14 cubes at the top of the elevator in Chamber 17, and then after using the item save glitch to get 2 companion cubes, we have to transfer 14 cubes down this hallway. It's awful. Very, very tedious. Chamber 18 is already hard enough having to manage all of the cubes, but it's possibly the worst cube dropper in the game to get the second cube from. Most other levels, we get to see the second cube drop, so when we activate the item save glitch, the cube is already in motion. In Chamber 18, the cube is already dispensed, so after activating item save glitch, we have to take the first cube and chuck it into the bottom of the cube dropper to hopefully send the cube into motion. Once that is done, we need to make sure the cube exits the cube dropper in a very particular way. If it gets launched towards the chamber, we cannot recover it, since it'll drop into a massive pool of acid. We need to make sure the cube exits towards us. This is easily the most annoying part of the run. In other runs, I've spent multiple minutes trying to coax this cube out of the cube dropper, and have to reset nearly 40 minutes in. Thankfully, this run only took around 15 seconds. After situating all 30 of these cubes in their spots on the elevator shaft, we're into the escape sequence, where thankfully the run is basically identical to 24 cubes, just with 8 extra cubes to move. But these 8 cubes just make everything so much harder. We overflow the pit in Escape 0 and have to move some cubes to the side, and in Escape 01, we're just so crowded with cubes. But thankfully, after getting our last cube in Escape 01, we can finally drop off all of these cubes in the cake room, and after destroying GLaDOS, we finish our cube completionist speedrun. And with our final cube check in post, we can confirm a new 32 cubes speedrun world record. With both 24 cubes and 32 cubes world records, I'm officially the fastest cube mover in the world. If you want to watch either of these speedruns in full, they're both linked in the description down below. But unfortunately, for the second time, I have lied to you again, because you can get more than 32 cubes in Portal. You can get 33 cubes by getting an extra cube in Chamber 0 with item save glitch, and by throwing a cup at the out of bounds cube in the cube dropper. It's quite hard and only one person has ever done it before with cheats. And I know you're probably thinking that a 33 cube speedrun is in order, because there has to be a speedrun category that truly gets every cube, right? Well, I hate to break it to you, but these speedrun categories are completely arbitrary. There's a glitch with the cube dropper that lets you duplicate cubes. You can get as many cubes as you want. Seriously, as many as you want. So, how many cubes can you get at once in Portal? A lot. You can get a lot. Thanks for watching.